bunch of session musicians who turned themselves into a band.
Did you know that Weezer actually covered this song? They did one particular album where I think they covered some of the like hits from the 80s, and then they even dressed in like that Miami Heat kind of style with the big sort of shoulder pad jackets, in pastel colors.
Oh no!
And they did a pretty good job of covering Toto's.
Some bands you just don't cover.
No, but it was good. It was good. I'll let you hear it later.
I will go listen. I will go listen. Okay, let's get live on Facebook, shall we?
Yes! Welcome, everybody. Episode 5.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're here with Matthew Nixon, our financial expert for
Financial Literacy 1-on-1. Hey!
Hi, guys. How are you?
Thank you so much for joining us, Matt. We're good. This episode, we're going to try and unpack 2 topics. If we overrun them, we're going to let it spill over into next week.
Because it's a big topic.
It's a big topic,
especially the first bit.
Yeah, how to build a meaningful legacy for your kids. That's one thing. And the second thing we'll deal with is whether single income living is still possible in Singapore.
Yeah.
I mentioned this when we were talking about this earlier on the show, off air. And as much as it sounds horrible, it was something that was going around Singapore. I think this is probably before you got here, Matt. In the old days, single income families really found it difficult here. And we used to say that it was tough for single income families. They would have to eat the rice and smell the saltfish. That's how tough it was.
Oh my God.
Back in the early days of Singapore.
Sure.
So it started off as a joke, but it became a reality, quite honestly.
Do you know what? That's actually true, because my grandmother, she became a widow, right? And quite early on, and she would talk about their meals were just rice with soy sauce, and just if you were lucky, there was an egg. They find creative ways to sort of stretch it. And actually that's her children's favorite dish, the egg fried with rice and just soy sauce on top.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Okay, so let's get into it today. You have a quiz.
I love it. Hit us.
Go. Wednesday morning rolls around for quiz time quite often.
I love it.
It's good.
Okay, we'll start with a fun one today to start off, and then ease into the serious stuff. So this question, number 1, is which famous person said this? Leaving kids massive amounts of money is not a favor to them. A. Gordon Ramsay. B. Jay-Z. C. Bill Gates. D. Warren Buffett.
I'm going to go with Warren Buffett.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Bill Gates.
Okay.
Well, FD, you're on a roll. Yes, you're right. C is right. Bill Gates.
He's always
right.
He's like that. Bill Gates is that kind of guy.
He's explained that he will leave 1% of his wealth to his kids because he wants them to make it on their own. But 1% of his wealth is still $1 billion.
Wow, this is going to be tough.
So they're not leaving them too.
Poor thing.
Not too. Yes.
So hard. I'm worth $1 billion at 21.
No, even if you split that up, how many kids he got?
He's got 3 kids.
Even if 1 billion divided by 3, that'll be fine.
Yeah. You reckon?
Enough to live off of.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 2. What's the biggest mistake parents make when trying to leave a financial legacy for their children?
Okay.
Is it A, they start too late? Is it B, they're not teaching their kids about money? C, they're putting all their savings in one type of asset? Or D, all the above?
I'm going to go with all the above.
All their money in one asset.
Lavinia is right.
No!
It's all the above.
I lose.
Yes.
No, we're on par now. It's like 1 to 1,
yes.
right? So question 3 would determine who's the A-star student.
So just on that point, just remember legacy equals, is about time, diversity, and financial literacy.
That's true.
So yes. Okay. All right. The tiebreaker question. Okay. So what's the recommended rule of thumb for how much of your income should go into your savings and investing each month, even for single income households? A, 10%, B, 20%, C, 30%, or D, 50%?
I'm going to go with 30%.
I'm going to go with 20%.
And the winner goes to B, FD.
Oh,
20%.
Come
on.
Hey, what's wrong with 10% more saving? Think about it.
Because I think Matt dealt with it, the breakdown.
We did, yes.
Yeah,
so the benchmark is 50% needs,
listening.
30% wants, 20% of savings investment.
Not listening.
Alrighty, we're going to talk more about this and really begin to dive deep into this huge topic, legacy versus lifestyle. What truly matters? Come and join us on our Facebook Live, because that's where the discussion goes deep.
Alrighty. Okay, so let's get down to it and get serious, shall we?
Don't forget about our Facebook question. What is harder for you? Savings for the future or affording the present? That's the question scrolling across our Facebook Live screen. And if you just share with us, you can either comment on our Facebook Live or you can WhatsApp in your answer to that. You might win for yourself $150 worth of dining vouchers from Wings Bar and Grill. It's a great place. Not only great food, great music as well. They've got live performances and these amazing American-style wings, burgers, and ribs. Check them out over at their website, wingsbar.sg.
Okay, so let's get down to the serious business. Legacies for your children. What are the biggest concerns for parents today for their child's future? What do you reckon?
Yeah, so when you talk to parents today, number one is time spent with kids and kind of spending time with them because work is so hectic.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest financially is expensive housing. This is where we're really getting into affordable housing. Are my kids going to be able to afford their own place as time goes on? So
yeah, because it is quite ridiculous these days.
Yeah.
And
so
also
I think
because I want them out of my house.
so their generation, so your kids will be in the house longer because they will be able to afford to get the down payment. It's going to take longer. So the other kind of catch too is the kids today are going to be living longer, so they're going to need more money for savings. So you need to not be excessive debt, but also save for the future because you're probably going to be living late into your 80s and to your 90s because of health.
Right.
And I think, and I think the third point too is just financial literacy is getting to start talking to your children early about, debt, savings, budgeting, and investing. The earlier we start with the youth, the better things are going to come, and having that family discussion is very key.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually, after last week, after the first episode, right, I told my husband that, you know what, we need to sit down and start talking like financial literacy to my three boys. Yeah, because right now they don't quite understand. Their concept of money is poor, really bad. Not that they're poor, but it's poor.
Yeah.
No, I mean, at their age, money is there to be spent.
But I think they need to come to understand the value of money, even at that young age, like you pointed out. Yeah, and even, who knows, like Matt says, start investing, even if it's just like $100, right?
Yep, absolutely.
True. Yeah.
So what type of legacy can one leave behind or plan for?
Okay, so you can have, if we talk about the assets, first of all, you want to leave your family members and loved one. You can have your liquid assets like cash, stocks, bonds, which is great.
Right.
And then I think what we talked about is the home.
Yeah.
Now the home is very important in Singapore, right? Yeah. So that is one thing where you want to make sure that you're actually leaving that, and it's very well documented, through a will or through a trust on how you're going to leave them their properties. But also, like Lavinia, you were talking about, it's also leaving them, implanting the values so that when the parents are not here anymore, or you guys get older, they have built a good foundation so that you've passed on to them the lessons you guys have learned, so that they're not having to repeat mistakes. So there's that value of literacy that the children need to learn today. So that's why we should start early with our kids. I think that's something also that parents should really look into building as part of so I think transparency and trust without the burden is kind of a way to look at it.
A lot of people are going to be listening to us and going, this legacy thing is fine if you've got the money, to do it. What about the guy that's trapped in the middle? Things are tight. How does he look at legacy then?
So I think people should look at legacy that it's just not for the wealthy. I think what you really should look at is it's the structure and the intention and not the amount that you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So setting your kids up for future success is key. And like I said, you can use your own personal, I don't think kids in their early age need to learn about the struggles that the parents are having, but maybe you look at it as as they get kind of older, here's what I've learned. Let's not try to make the same mistakes. Teach them early about, saving money, where they can, kind of go into the future for their own kind of direction.
Right.
So that's, education wise, but also just kind of talking about it and making sure that if it's $1,000 or it's $100 million, that is going to be important. So when time gets tough, or when you're kind of in that old age, you need to be able to pass it on, because that will help them with their next steps to take care of you in your older age. There's one thing that's kind of scary that I've been hearing through, research, that the generations now in Singapore, dementia is really affecting everybody
badly.
So when families start talking about legacy planning, it could be the point where you need to start doing it when you're 100% healthy, because if you kind of get to the point down the stage where you're getting older, and your plan all the way was, I was going to leave 50% to FD, 50% Lavinia, but then something happens and the mother or father starts getting old and says, maybe they forget about something, then it causes problems within the family. That's when the squabbles happen. So this is something you really want to start having that conversation in your 40s,
and I think when you have that conversation with your kids in particular, you need to be really honest, and if there are mistakes you've made, you've got to address them.
Right.
Which is something I've done with my kids.
Both
from a social point of view, from a parental point of view, and from a money point of view. So they understand that, these are mistakes that have been made. Learn from what's happened to me, so you don't fall into the same traps.
That's really important. And I think this kind of falls under what you mentioned, Matt, about transparency and trust.
Absolutely.
And so we need to be completely open in order to be transparent in order to gain that trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Can we ask, what are the, family legacy planning, right? It can be super complicated. There's so many elements to it. Could you simplify it for us? I do believe you've actually prepared slides.
I have.
Okay, here we go.
You're the man.
So I really wanted to kind of actually put this out there to where, to make it as simple as possible.
Okay.
So I kind of want you to think about 5 different steps.
Okay.
So the first one I want to mention is number 1 is protection in your family planning. This is to secure your family's present and future.
Okay.
So I've kind of put a what action to take, why it matters, and tools. I won't run through everyone, but I will talk about the highlights of what actions to take.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've talked about, 1 is getting your life insurance and your critical illness coverage,
Right.
your hospitalization, those basics. I think for this one, it kind of blends into other topic around single income. Number 4 is to protect your dependents with disability insurance income. So this protects your monthly income if that person in the single family home cannot work.
Okay.
I think that's key.
Also key, yeah.
And then number 5 is actually to building your emergency fund, which we've talked about. Okay.
Yeah.
So the second part of the Singapore Family Legacy Plan checklist is 2 is accumulation. This is to build your wealth steadily over time.
Okay.
So the key action points to take here is to automate your savings and investments, maximize your special account. We've talked about this in previous episodes.
Yes.
Make sure those top-ups, you're getting that 4 to 5% guaranteed.
Yep.
Avoid using CPF OA for housing.
Okay.
Par paid of your mortgage where you can. Number 4 is really to start a child education fund early. And I really kind of want to harp on this since we're talking about legacy, is to reduce the burden later. Look at endowment, education endowments as well. Child development account as well. That will help parents to kind of get through those early years up until the age of 13.
Okay.
And then number 5 is to review and rebalance your portfolio yearly.
Because if you look at, especially for someone like Lavinia, for example, you've got a 7-month-old baby.
Yeah.
Do the inflation math.
Yep.
What is it going to cost your child?
Agreed.
Not to get a PhD or something, just a degree at a university. What's it going to cost? It's going to be phenomenal.
Yep.
With inflation.
I will get to experience the difference between my firstborn
and your last,
and this last born because of inflation, right? And the
it's
rising cost and everything. We have got 3 more points to cover that you've actually simplified this whole family legacy planning thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to head back on air, and we're going to share them with you. Come and join us. Hey there. In the midst of our episode 5 of our Financial Literacy One-on-One, I just want to say that, hey, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to drop us a message on our WhatsApp. Even if you follow us on the Facebook Live, you can comment there. We would love to address these questions and have Matt take you through them, all right? So on Facebook Live, Matt has actually simplified the whole family legacy planning, right, which is a very, very big thing. It's very complicated into 5 simple slides.
So we've got 3 more slides to go through.
Points,
For those of you on radio listening to us, you're not going to be able to see those slides. So you can actually transfer yourself to our Facebook channel or YouTube if you want to face it, or watch this broadcast after it's over when you've got time.
Yes, okay? And really I'm amazed how you managed to simplify it, you know.
Yeah, it's really
There
good.
are 5 points, and within each point, it's just simplified to 5 actions. I'm sure there are more actions that one can take, but I think if you can at least do 3 out of 5 of them, or even 2 out of 5 of them, you are on your way to a better sort of foundation to your financial health.
So let's get to number 3, transfer.
Okay, so transfer, this is actually how you plan to help wealth move to your loved ones.
Okay.
So out of the 5 actions, number 1 is to, of course, make your CPF nomination.
Okay.
Number 2, you want to write a will. So this really controls how your assets are distributed after death.
Okay.
And I think what people need to know is that the probate process after death, if you don't have a will, can get very complicated.
Yeah.
And if you need money right away because of funeral costs and that you're grieving someone's loss, you don't want to be worried about finance, so please look ahead and get your will done. I think that's the biggest point out of the transfers.
Okay.
Also, review property ownership structure. Number 4, nominate your insurance beneficiaries. And number 5, set up a trust, especially for high net worth individuals. That really helps along with the process.
I've got all of that done. Can you explain to people listening, property ownership structure? What do you mean?
So this is where you really want to avoid legal disputes. So there's 2 different, you need to decide between joint tenancy and tenancy in common. So joint tenancy goes to the spouse or next one, where tenancy in common goes into the estate. So that's when you're kind of, the sum of the housing will go into a pool, and then you're kind of battling, and then you got market value. It's a bit messy. So making sure you know the percentage.
So that falls under review your property ownership structure. Okay.
Next one.
Okay. Number 4 is education. Pass on your financial literacy and values. So this is the actions taken. This is more where number 1 is to teach your children about savings and budgeting. Right. I think we've really been kind of talking about this episode. It's really important to build that lifelong discipline with your children. Lavinia, you were just mentioning something about your kids. Yes. I found that this POSB Smart Buddy system is an app that is very good, that allows your kids allowances, and as a parent, you can actually get to see where your kids are spending the money. So it's way to kind of track their spending. I found it online. It's a very cool tool. I wish I had that when I was a teenager or a child. But
cool.
So the other action is number 2 is to involve your spouse in financial discussions. I think you need to talk about this openly. 3 is also create a family financial file. So this is making sure everything is in a central location, that where if you need this to go, something happens, you guys know where everything is.
You know what?
So
I need to get down to that.
you have all your copies printed out. Even though this is a digital age, still the hard copy sometimes is nice to have that family file if anything was to happen to your loved ones.
Okay.
Number 4 is share your family values about money. And number 5 is encourage entrepreneurship and early investing with your children.
Ooh, I like that. That's really good.
Stuff. Good stuff.
So we're down to number 5 of our how you've broken down, right? The sort of like in the pillars of legacy planning, right? You've simplified it into these 5 areas. Our last area we're going to jump back onto our Facebook Live to cover. But hey, remember, we've got that question on our Facebook Live. If you answer it, it might just win you $150 worth of dining vouchers from Wings Bar and Grill. And the question is, what's harder for you, saving for the future or affording the present? Just give us your answer. You can WhatsApp it in 88550-913 or comment on our Facebook Live.
Alrighty, we are now at annual.
Let's do a quick recap.
Yeah. Okay. So quick recap of the slides that are there. Remember, you can always go back and watch this.
Yes, please do,
to get an update on the slides. We've talked protection. We've talked accumulation. We've talked transfer. We've talked education.
And now the 5th one.
The 5th one.
So this is the bonus one. So this is if you have all of your all four kind of in line.
Okay.
This is kind of your annual family legacy review.
Whoa.
So this is kind of like a yearly checklist. Now, maybe if you want to, if it's too much yearly, maybe do it every 2 years. But it's really important to for families to review their insurance coverage.
Yep.
Number 2 is to update their CPF and will nominations.
Yep.
That's if there's new family members or anything changes in the family.
Okay.
Number 3 is to check your investment for performance, to stay diversified, rebalance if needed. Number 4, reassess property and mortgage. This is if you want to plan for early repayment if possible. And finally is revisit your family goals as a family. Talk around the table, at the end of the year, beginning of the year, and really kind of include your children as well, especially when they become teenagers, so that they're getting knowledge at the beginning, so they're kind of in the loop of what the parents are talking about. And you can keep it what you want to tell them, but this is to kind of get them involved so that they can start building and ask questions to mom and dad.
I think it's really good. You all sit around a table and dad explains where they are and everything, and then everybody looks at it, and if everything's in order, they all sort of collectively agree, dad, you can die now, we're okay.
Oh, that just took quite a turn. Oh my.
No,
all dads are feeling very vulnerable right now.
Really, though, what's the right way to pass on that financial literacy to your child?
Right.
How do we pass this on? I mean, we talk about it, but is there a proper way to do this?
Mindset, I think, is number 1. You need to, the kids, especially at young age, they need to know that money is a limited resource.
Yes.
They really need to understand that. So maybe having them at their early stages learn on their own experiences and mistakes. You take your sons out for like at McDonald's and you give them $10 and he goes and buys everything on hamburgers, and then he decides that he's got a stomach ache after eating. And then he's like, well, if you only had $5 with McDonald's, you'd still have some money in your pocket and you probably won't feel as bad. Those kind of maybe just simple kind of experiences as kids.
Okay.
No, I can,
and also make the decisions on how to spend their money, like kind of give them a guide and process of how mom and dad have done it, talking about, things you guys have learned, going through mistakes. And I also want to say is, we talked about this throughout the other 4 episodes, is really kind of start having those discussions at a teenager age about investing and start talking about that. So you kind of get that financial literacy at that time where, maybe your son or daughter really want to get into investing, and this is a way to kind of show them by doing a joint account with them and just talking about that around the table.
So here's a question I've got to because you just mentioned that. At what age in Singapore can people start investing? Is it 18?
18.
So they can start investing.
So no wonder you're saying like the joint account.
Otherwise it's a joint account,
right?
Joint account,
So we spoke about this, and this is another thing that's bugging me. We spoke about how CPF may not be enough for you to retire on.
Okay.
So you've got to have your own money to retire on. So how do I prioritize this? Because I've got to figure out my retirement, but I want to leave my children with a financial future. So how do I do that?
So I think we talked about last episode about the sandwich generation. And I think this really goes back to where you need to look at choice versus obligation. And I think the sandwich generation is teaching us that they are now having to look after their parents. And they've been in a period of time where they probably have accumulated more wealth. But they also see that they won't want to be a burden to their children because they know that they're going to have families. So when I speak to friends, a lot of them are talking about, and talk to clients, is that they want their own retirement. So I think they need to focus on them as first. And also remember, because you're building your own retirement wealth and you use it as what some people are going to use it right away, go on the fancy trip. Some people will continue their conservative ways and have more. So you can always pass that on to your kids what you have left over. But at the same time, it lets you to enjoy your retirement and look at yourself instead of putting the cup into their kids, where you are kind of controlling the purse strings because you know how much I like to save, and then that way you can control that for later on in legacy planning.
But, like you pointed out, adopt it whereby you put yourself first, right? Because it's your retirement, right? In a way, you are also easing the burden onto your children, right? You're removing that burden, they're being less of that sort of like sandwich generation, having those responsibilities as well. And like you mentioned earlier on, everyone is living longer. I think the sandwich generation is just going to increase. The number of
Definitely.
individuals who are in that situation is just going to increase. So that is why legacy planning is really important, right? What are some examples of life lessons that we can instill in our kids when it comes to money?
I think don't take it for granted. Money is transient.
That's the truth.
I also, interesting enough, I think that also is that hard work doesn't guarantee wealth.
Good point.
I think that is something that sometimes you can see someone working 48 hours a week and you see them burning out, but is that hard work being justified into their bank account?
Yep.
So you really need to sit there.
Be smart about it.
Yes.
Okay.
And I also think we've talked about this before. Sometimes it's happiness and health is actually more than money.
Yep.
So really focus on your spending time with your, spending time away from work to spend time, make those memories with your children, your family members. That money is important, but it's not everything.
Right. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Okay, here's a very interesting thing off Facebook.
Okay.
As a parent, is there a merit to distribute my assets while I'm still around and live with my children? Would that help reduce the disputes later and simplify the transfer of wealth? I'm reminded of the movie Money Not Enough, where none of the kids wanted to look after their mum. So distribute it now as opposed to when you're gone.
Wow.
That's a very interesting question. And you've talked to families who have the sibling who looks after and thinks that they should be getting more of the inheritance. I think that is and those conversations also has broken up families too. So,
sorry, we're actually going back on air right now, and we just enjoyed our throwback. But we're in the midst of a very interesting discussion from one of you on our Facebook Live. FD, once again,
this is the question: as a parent, is there merit to distribute my assets while I'm still around and live with my children? Would that help reduce disputes later and simplify the transfer of wealth? I'm reminded of the movie Money Not Enough, where none of the kids wanted to look after their mom.
Great question.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you think?
So I would say yes, table that conversation now. Maybe the money's not moving physically, but we say if John's going to take care of my mother in the old age, does he preserve 60-70% of her inheritance? Yes.
Sure.
And table that conversation so that there is no disputes. Right. There's no squabbles when it gets to the point that it's very clear, and that I'm just using John as an example as a name. That says he's going to be the one taking care of mom in the old age. This is definitely worth having the inheritance split than a 50-50 split, because that really to me would not be fair.
Yeah.
Right.
And that conversation's had.
And that happens a lot. I know a lot of people who have, say, a lot of couples who have two siblings, right? And at the end of the day, one sibling is looking after them, the other sibling is doing nothing.
Wow.
But everything is split equally.
Wow, that's painful.
It does grow resentment.
Sure.
It does grow resentment. I think we've got another question from our Facebook.
Okay, so does it mean that if you know that one child is going to be looking after you, try to give a little bit more to that fella?
I would think that's fair.
And then two, these are, it's a scenario that can be useful to you as a tool, right? Have that conversation early, or even distribute the wealth early so that there's no future resentment or disputes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
A question that's a little off from what we're talking about today. I'm unclear how much the interest paid on CPF balances is, assuming my OA is $100,000 for members below 55. Is it 3.5% on the first 20,000 due to additional 1%, then 2.5% on the balance 80,000? I think the best way to do that is seriously. That's a discussion for the CPF.
Yes.
And honestly, I've used the website. You get all your answers there.
Correct.
It's a really good website. It's a brilliant website. I think we've got time for one more question, probably.
Sure.
We are going to deal with single income households next week, I think.
Okay.
We'll have to do that because this has been so engaging. This last one, and I'm a believer of this, but I want to know whether it's worth it. What's your take on starting life insurance policies for your kids? Is it worth it?
definitely 100% worth it if it's affordable at the time. So
okay,
when children are born, to kind of get them a life insurance plan on them right away. Now, of course, parents are going to be struggling with, getting the nursery set up and all those costs. But if you can afford it, it's within your budget, it's a very good idea because your premiums will be cheaper.
Yeah.
When you have a healthy child compared in there, and it's going to pay off, and then that's a tool that you can pass on to your children as they get older as
so
well.
when they get older and when they're working, they just take over
They
premium
take over for the
payments
premiums,
and whatever
yes.
else. You see.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It really does work.
Yeah.
Can I just add, would it be good to also consider, besides if you can afford that life insurance for your child or the baby just born, right? You mentioned earlier about an education endowment.
Same
right?
thing.
Same thing?
Yes.
Okay, so
Same
maybe,
thing.
Oh.
Because it's like I've said so many times.
so both things, lah,
Yeah,
right?
my daughter's university education in Australia was paid from what an endowment paid out.
Yeah, so that's two things that you might want to consider starting the moment your baby is born. And hey, if you already
Absolutely.
have kids, maybe just start this week, next week.
If you can afford it,
Yep.
I'm a big believer.
Okay, so we did want to cover, about lifestyle for the single income individual and like how you can make it work. But I think that's another big topic, and we're going to carry it forth to next episode,
Yes, we
episode
will.
6.
Yeah.
So once again, remember financial literacy here, one-on-one with our financial expert Matt Nixon takes place every Wednesday at 8 a.m. So make sure you tune in and keep those questions coming in. Once again, our question is answer our Facebook Live question. It's a very, very cool one, which is what is, hang on here, it's disappeared.
The question's disappeared.
Okay,
There you
what's
go.
harder for you, saving for the future or affording the present?
That's
Okay, just like
brilliant.
that, and you can win dining vouchers from Wings Bar and Grill. Matt, thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us
guys
here today.
both. Always pleasure to be here. We're talking to you both.
Yes.
Next week we deal with single income household stability and strategy.
All right.
1FM 91.3.